Welcome back, Trinidad and Tobago. While we continue in that vein, celebrating International Women's Day, and we'll be focusing on abuse and battered women, and the Abuse and Battered Women Ministry, specifically of My Golden Calling. The CEO of My Golden Calling, Iesha Jackman-Archer, is here with us, and joining her we have Shakil Regis. He is the PRO. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
So we're talking about abuse and battered women, particularly this class of women. It's a sensitive topic. So first of all, how long has My Golden Calling been around, and what are some of the work that you all have been doing so far?
We have been around, well, good morning again. We have been around, next month on April 16th will make it 5 years, but we have been acting before that. And reason for My Golden Calling, My Golden Calling started is because I too was a victim of abuse. So coming into Christ and getting baptized and stuff, I took it upon myself as a calling to go out and help people who I once was like. So this is where My Golden Calling came about.
Okay. And what are your thoughts on the achievements of My Golden Calling?
Well, so far we have progressed a lot because we have impacted positively on the lives of those who were victims of abuse. We go out together, Iesha and I go out together as a team, and we donate foodstuffs for those being abused. We counsel those being abused. And from the day that we began doing our work, we have progressed a lot. Okay. And this means so much to us. And also it had meant so much to those who were being assisted by us.
Okay, so what are some of the some of the communities that you all have targeted so far?
We started in our community, which is Carenage. And then we went to Dago, we went to Arima, basically a lot of communities in Trinidad. I always wanted to go to Tobago, and recently I've hooked up with a young lady named Alana Joseph from Tobago. She have a abuse and battered ministry, something just like ours, named Hadassah's Hope. So we recently linked with her. So we will be working with Hadassah's Hope. So it will be, you know, Tobago involved.
How do people reach out to you or get in contact with you?
Social media. My number is all over. I do be on radio stations and TV stations. So, you know, it's not a now-based thing. People are aware of My Golden Calling.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about, you know, the whole layout of this program in terms of the type of support that you offer. Is it also counseling? What sort of support you provide?
We support, first of all, the Word of God, counseling, temporary shelters, because right now for 2 years now we have been trying to get a piece of land to build a shelter, you know, but what we do is we take the ladies and them and have them by us, which is really kind of not so safe scene, but what we can do. So we usually base them home by us for 2-3 weeks until we could get somewhere for them to stay, to be safe. Right? We have with medication, back out to school for the abused children as well. The food stuff, you know, there's a lot of things that we do to push and to make them know, and, you know, to make them know that after the life of abuse, there is a life after abuse. You're not supposed to just sit down and ponder and say I was a victim of abuse or I am a victim of abuse. There is a life after abuse.
So you all house both children and mothers?
Yes, and men as well, because men also go through abuse.
Yes.
So we provide services for all different ethnicities, all different genders.
What is your source of funding?
Our source of funding, we get funding from those in the community who are willing to donate. We get funding from the government. We get funding from businessmen, businesswomen around, because we go around asking for contributions, and they're very optimistic towards contributing, and, you know, they're non-hesitant towards contributing as well. So that is what makes this NGO a success.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the challenges that you'll face. If we look at battered women and the types of relationships that they are involved in, some might say it's a little bit tricky in that you're there attempting to help, and then a couple days later, the woman leaves and goes back home, and things are great with her and her partner, and then the cycle continues. How do you deal with that?
Well, it's a hard, ticklish question there, because you can't force somebody to be out of something that they don't really want to come out of. Yes, they might say, But I, being a survivor of abuse, I know and have experience. Being in abuse relationship, there is a lot of issues why you don't leave. Sometimes fear, sometimes it's because of dependence on the person, shame, the children, you know. So it's a kind of ticklish question, but we do stand with them and support them no matter what, you know. We've been there many times down that path. We have lost victims by death. Yeah, we have lost victims by death. We have lost, you know, counseling, the relationship-wise, cut off that my goal and calling. I don't want you even to link with them, you know, things like that. So it's a hard thing to see abuse relationship and like that. We even counsel the abuser sometimes, great. Yeah. So if they are willing to get that help, we help them, because we don't really like to spoil a family. But if they are willing to get that counsel, that help, we go all the way with them.
How successful do you think this initiative has been so far, based on your observations and even your personal input?
Well, based on my observations and personal input, I think we have came a really long way, because we had started off with nothing. It was just Iesha and I alone. And we were actually taking monies from our pockets to help those being abused before we became registered as an NGO and before we began getting funding from those in the public. So I would say we have come a long way, but I think that we still have far to go, because we will be constant in need of funding in order to keep this NGO going on.
And you also need volunteer services
as well.
Yes, yes, as well.
Everybody else on board. What numbers can we reach you at?
312-1893.
And Facebook page and all of that? You're on Facebook?
Yes, we are.
We can look
under
for
My Goal and
My
Calling.
Goal and Instagram and all of that.
Yeah, same thing under My Goal and Calling. Everything is under My Goal and Calling. And the email address is abusewomanministry@gmail.com.
What are your closing comments? What would you like to say to those looking on?
There is, as I said before, there is life after abuse. And you know, you don't need to stay in a relationship to say that you are basing because of family or because of shame or fear. You can move on. There are means and sources and ways to help. And it's not just women I'm basing on. Yes, it's International Women's Day and we are talking about women, but there are men, and people just be like, no, and there are men that being abused as well. We have seen, and you know, so life of abuse is something
it's
really...
It's very difficult. Well, we'd like to thank you so much for being part of our show, and best of luck with this initiative.